Ryan Papenhuyzen is back. Bronson Xerri is back. But most importantly, welcome back to the preseason challenge. We kicked it off on Thursday night. The Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs picking up a 24-12 win over the Melbourne Storm in what I can mainly describe as a hard physical game of footy from the opening kickoff right up until the end. That is the biggest takeaway I had from this game, is that both teams were out there trying to smack the living hell out of each other, but it was the Bulldogs who got a very important win in the context of their match. I think that they were favourites before kickoff, and rightfully so. They definitely fielded a much stronger team than the Melbourne Storm. But the Melbourne Storm had that guy at fullback, Ryan Papenhuyzen. I thought he had a really good game, a really good first half against the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs. Obviously, he got rested, which came as a surprise to absolutely no one. I thought he had a great game for the Melbourne Storm. He scored that try right on halftime. He set up that first try to Xerri in the corner, and the Melbourne Storm with limited opportunities. I think they only had very limited opportunities in the first half to Drew Hutchinson, but in the second half, I thought Toby Sexton was absolutely outstanding. I think we will definitely get to see some minutes between Burton and Sexton next week in their next match. It seems Hutchinson is the leader at the moment, which isn't too surprising. I thought they would have lent with Sexton just because of what he did from last year, but Hutchinson's obviously impressed Serrato in the pre-season. But in saying that, Sexton was absolutely unbelievable tonight. I also thought Reed Marnie, who of course he did get put on report, but I thought he had a very good first half, especially defensively. Obviously, they didn't get too many chances with attacking wise last year. The Bulldogs had to do a lot of defense, and I thought Reed Marnie led from the front in this game as well. And when you talk Bulldogs, Jacob Preston, he hasn't missed a step. He actually top tackled for the Bulldogs with 28 total tackles, and I think he actually nearly played the full game. In fact, he did 80 minutes. He is definitely a leader for the Bulldogs, but alongside Little Pappy, we also got to see the return of Bronson Xerri. No NFL, no boxing, no needles. Bronson Xerri had a pretty good game. Limited opportunities in the first half, but still made plenty of meters. I think he actually ran for 161 meters to go along with that silky little try assist, and then he just burnt the Melbourne Storm for pace for that left corner, scoring his second try. So it was great to see him in full flight. But then the second half happened. Melbourne Storm took a 12-10 halftime lead, and I thought that didn't reflect how dominant the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs were. I'm going to criticize them a little bit. I thought they weren't direct enough attacking the line in that first half. They had plenty of opportunities. Obviously, they bottled one. I think it was Samuel Hughes, the front rower. He had a drop that, 9 times out of 10, he probably grounds it. But it's the preseason. The boys are going to be just a little bit nervous. But they completely dominated in every sense but the scoreboard, including possession, especially in that second half. And while I thought they weren't at their best, the Bulldogs, in attacking their line, those young guns in the second half, dare I say, were absolutely incredible for the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs. Blake Wilson, he also had a cheeky little step on the wing there at the end of that half. But Bailey Howard, I think he was the dummy half, number 20. He had a bloody good game. Joseph O'Neill, he had a terrific game, the young 5'8". But I thought Toby Sexton was the standout in that second half for the Bulldogs. I also thought Jermaine Salmon, couldn't recognise him, but boy does he look good with short hair. He also looks about 10 years older. The Ray Stone look-alike. I thought he played really well in the Bulldogs, but like I said, just maybe be a bit more direct in attack between Reed Marnie, Salmon. I would be playing Big Sexton next to Burton next week. I mean, this may sound crazy, but I see a world where maybe Burton does get pushed to the centres if Hutchinson and Sexton play as well as they did, because I actually thought Hutchinson was better in the first half than Sexton was in most parts of the field. But just when it came to producing on that try line, I thought Toby Sexton had just a little bit of, not X Factor, but we'll just go with X Factor. We'll give Sexton his flowers. I thought he had a terrific game. It's probably actually my man in the match for the Bulldogs, even despite only playing the second half. But shout out to the Bulldogs. I thought Blake Taff was a little bit quiet at fullback for the Bulldogs in this game at 115 running meters. So he was all right. No line break assist, no try assist, 1 tackle break, so he didn't set the world on fire, and the Bulldogs did have a lot of possession on the Melbourne Storm's line, so I'd like to see him get involved a little bit more. I would still be sticking with Stephen Crichton at fullback. I know a lot of Doggies fans seem to be against that. I know Taff had that incredible run at fullback, but even then he was still the 3rd or 4th option. He wasn't a guy who was, excelling at fullback for the Souths in that finals run. He was still quiet. He just did a job. And I think Stephen Crichton at his peak at fullback is going to get you closer than Taff will at getting a premiership. And the Doggies are still rebuilding, so they've got time to figure that out. So I'd just be backing Stephen Crichton in for fullback now. I get it if you didn't have good centres, but you got so many centre options. Bronson Xerri did start on the left, and I think he's going to stay there. So I guess that right centre spot is up for grabs. So that'll probably be what Connor Tracy, Stephen Crichton, those guys will be going for. I would be putting Tracy there and putting Crichton at fullback, but it's not up to me. I'm just a bloke who bought a fancy-ass microphone that didn't even work. Hard to judge for the Melbourne Storm. I thought Ryan Papenhuyzen was great in moments, but that's because he was really the one player I was focusing on a lot. I mean, besides that, I thought they were very brave in defence of the Melbourne Storm. I mean, the Bulldogs did score 5 tries. They just couldn't kick a bloody goal to save their life, so that's why the scoreline was a bit closer than it did end up being. But yeah, they just didn't have their opportunities. I thought they were all pretty gutsy defensively, but considering this did concede 5 tries, but they did spend bloody a lot of time defending their bloody line. But limited opportunities for the Melbourne Storm. I mean, no one really Pezzett, he had a little try assist to Papenhuyzen, so I thought, that was a decent little play, but didn't really get to show much outside of that. No one really did. I thought Aaron Penne had some good runs. Chris Lewis was great in defence. I think he topped the tackle count. He did. 38 cheeky bloody tackles. Would you take a look at that, ladies and gentlemen? But outside of that, just not much for the Storm. I think that's why Bellamy, despite him blowing up for no reason in February, was a bit disappointing because we didn't get to see their young gun shine, and that'll be disappointing for a lot of those guys. But heck, shout out to the Bulldogs. They didn't allow the Melbourne Storm to have their chances, and that's why they walked away with a cheeky W. Will they take the preseason challenge title off of Manly? Maybe. I'm not going to rule them out because they're the only team so far who's got some bloody points. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.